Welcome to Vanijja. Today, we're diving into a crucial topic for anyone involved in global commerce: the methods of settlement in international trade. Hello, and welcome back to the Vanijja channel. We're thrilled to have you here, especially if you're new to the world of international business and finance. Have you ever wondered how an exporter in one country guarantees payment from a buyer thousands of miles away? Or how a buyer ensures they actually receive the goods they paid for? Navigating international trade can be complex, and securing payment or shipment is often the biggest hurdle. This often leads to stress over potential non-payment or non-delivery. This beginner's guide will demystify the 6 most common settlement methods. By the end, you'll understand the process, features, and the inherent risks of each method, allowing you to choose the best option for your international deals. We'll cover advance payment, open account, 2 types of documentary collection, documentary credit, and payment secured by bank guarantee or standby LC. These methods are essentially tools designed to manage the risk between the buyer, who wants the goods, and the seller, who wants the payment. We will explore each one in detail, starting now. International trade settlement is the process of transferring funds from the buyer to the seller in exchange for goods or services, typically involving banks to facilitate the transaction. Every method involves balancing risk. Generally, the more secure the method is for the seller, the riskier it is for the buyer, and vice versa. Let's start with the one most favorable to the seller. We'll now provide an overview of the 6 settlement methods, organized by the level of risk they pose to the parties involved. First up is advance payment. This method is highly favored by the seller, but involves the highest risk for the buyer. Advance payment is simply when the buyer sends the full payment to the seller before the goods are even shipped. This means the seller has cash in hand before fulfilling their obligation. The key feature is the high risk for the buyer. Once the payment is made, the buyer has no guarantee the goods will be shipped or that they will be of the agreed quality. The process involves the contract agreement, the buyer instructing their bank to pay, the payment being made and credited to the seller, and finally, the seller shipping the goods. For instance, a new exporter might require advance payment due to country risk or if they lack the working capital to prepare the goods. It's a sign of a high trust relationship from the seller's perspective, or high necessity. On the opposite end, we have the open account method. This offers the least risk to the buyer, but the highest risk to the seller. In an open account transaction, the seller ships the goods and forwards the documents to the buyer. Payment is then due on a mutually agreed future date, such as 30 or 60 days later. The key feature is that the seller relies entirely on the buyer's creditworthiness and good faith, as there is no bank guarantee of payment. It's often used between companies with long-established relationships. The process starts with the contract. Then the seller ships the goods and documents directly to the buyer. The buyer reviews the goods and, if satisfied, instructs their bank to make the transfer on the agreed date. A common use case is trade between well-known partners in low-risk countries, such as those in Western Europe or the US. It's attractive due to its simplicity and minimal banking fees. Next, we move to documentary collection. This method offers a balanced risk, using banks to handle documents, but without providing a payment guarantee. Under a site-basis collection, the buyer must pay the amount to the bank immediately upon viewing the shipping documents, before the bank releases them to the buyer to collect the goods. The usance basis allows the buyer to accept a draft or bill of exchange, promising to pay on a future date. The buyer gets the documents and goods immediately, but the seller must wait for payment. The key benefit for the seller is that the bank controls the release of the crucial shipping documents. However, the bank provides no guarantee of payment. If the buyer refuses the documents or defaults on the accepted draft, the seller bears the loss. The process involves the seller sending documents to their bank, the remitting bank, which forwards them to the buyer's collecting bank. The collecting bank only releases the documents upon the buyer's payment or acceptance of the draft. Documentary collection is ideal when there is a degree of trust, but the seller wants the added protection of the banking system managing the trade documents to control the goods until payment or acceptance. Moving on to what is generally considered the most secure method for the seller, the documentary credit, commonly known as a letter of credit, or LC. A documentary credit is an irrevocable undertaking by a bank to pay the seller, provided that the seller presents all the stipulated documents and the terms and conditions of the LC are complied with. The key feature here is the bank's commitment. The seller is no longer relying on the buyer's credit. They are relying on the issuing bank's credit, offering the highest level of security for the seller. The buyer, or applicant, applies to their bank, which issues the LC. This is advised to the seller, or beneficiary, via another bank. The seller ships the goods, presents the documents to their bank, and if they comply, the issuing bank guarantees payment. A documentary credit is essential when dealing with new or unknown international partners, or when trading with countries where credit or political risks are higher, as it shifts the payment risk to a reliable bank. Our fifth method is payment secured by a bank guarantee or standby letter of credit. This is often an add-on to less secure methods like open account or documentary collection. The definition is simple. A separate bank guarantee or standby LC is issued to secure a primary payment method, such as open account, ensuring the seller can draw funds if the buyer defaults on the payment obligation. The key feature is that the guarantee is only utilized in a secondary default scenario. If the primary payment method is honored, the guarantee remains unused. It provides recourse for the seller if the buyer fails to pay. The buyer arranges for the bank guarantee. If the primary transaction fails, the seller issues a demand to the bank according to the guarantee's terms. The issuing bank then pays the seller and debits the buyer's account. This method is useful when the parties want the simplicity and low cost of an open account, but the seller requires bank backing as protection against the buyer's default, balancing simplicity with security. We've successfully covered all 6 methods of settlement in international trade. Remember, choosing the right method is all about managing risk. From the seller-favored advance payment to the buyer-favored open account, and the security offered by documentary credit, each method has a distinct risk profile. Your choice should reflect your relationship, creditworthiness, and country risk. If you found this guide helpful, please like the video and subscribe to Vanijja for more insights into the world of business and trade. Leave your questions and comments below. We love hearing from you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.